welcome guys. Of course, happy Sunday to you all, and of course to all of my alternative adult book snobs out there. It's me, Amira Blaze. Welcome back guys, another episode of Book Shade. So I just want to give you a couple of updates. Guys, it's been a long day, okay? You will not believe this, guys, but I could have potentially almost split my head open today. So I was helping my dad with some like yard work and stuff like that, and then all of a sudden, as I was helping my dad kind of pick up like wood and stuff like that, and I'm on the other side of our house, and as soon as I pick up this stick and I turn around, I forgot that there was like the edge of where like our foundation and everything for our house like kind of comes together, and I literally went like this, like I ricocheted my head off of a piece of wood. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I thought I had busted my forehead open, and I was so scared. So if I, sound kind of a little bit discombobulated, that's probably why. But I digress, guys. So here are the updates, okay? So first off, I am gonna continue, doing my regular episodes like I always do. I will at least update Book Shade about 2 to 3 times during the week. But then besides that, you will get a live episode like this on Sundays at 8 p.m. Central Time. So there is my announcement. But guys, I am so excited about today's episode, like I always am. Yes, God. And what we're going to be doing today, guys, is this is what I like to call the BookTube Clapback, where either I am doing a video response to an interesting topic that a booktuber has been talking about, or other things that I have observed in regards to the booktube community, and I just wanted to give my opinion on it, because you know me, I'm gonna keep it real. So what happened, guys, was you know me, I love booktube, okay? And I enjoy watching other, booktubers and learning more about the culture. But there were a couple of things that came up, and I definitely want to mention this booktuber because this is my video response in regards to them. And her name is ABookOlive's. I just found out about her today, guys, and please check her out. Like, she gives like no bullshit, like straight common sense commentary and dialogue in regards to sometimes things about booktube. Other times she primarily focuses on doing like the wrap-ups and excuse me, and TBRs and stuff like that. And she is absolutely phenomenal. Definitely check her out. So what I decided to do, guys, was I just decided to respond to a couple of her videos that I was checking out, okay? And then we'll, continue from there. And the first video that I would like to respond to of hers is on book hauls and book haul hate, okay? And I will have all the links below so you can check out these videos just as a reference. To understand what we're going to be discussing on today's episode, okay? So what this video comprises of is Olive pretty much talking about this. It's very interesting as someone who is a new booktuber coming into the community and kind of understanding how everything kind of works. One of the main things that sometimes is controversial, but it's like I don't know, it's like people have mixed reviews on this, and that is book haul videos, and sometimes the negativity that comes with doing book haul videos, and then sometimes just being a booktuber in general. So let's, me, I'm gonna keep it real. So let's really talk about this, okay? So here's my thing about book hauls, okay? As you guys know, I tend to, excuse me here, I'm so sorry guys. My allergies have been really acting up as of late, but I digress. So you guys know, in case you're not a frequent regular watcher of this program, I tend to lean a little bit more towards the direction of ebooks. I have a Kindle, and it's not that I'm canceling physical books, okay? Because to me, if there's a book series that I really gravitate towards, that I'm really passionate about, you know, it's something that I would love to have like a physical copy of, yeah, I'll go out of my way to get it, right? So when I do a book haul, I just do it as kind of like a show and tell, to be like, oh, hey, this is what I picked up, or this is what I'm currently, you know, adding to my TBR, or things like that. But what starts to happen, guys, just to keep it real, is not all of us have the privilege of having this like beautiful extravaganza of a book collection. That, I mean, trust me, if I could have that, woo, I totally would, okay? But I have to, like, the way that my room is designed, I have to be more serious actually about the construct of space. And then the other thing that you have to account to, you know, to respond to Olive here, the other thing that you have to equate to is your finances, okay? Because if you've noticed recently, and I think it's because of, maybe it's because of this coronavirus situation that we're in, everything has started to like just catastrophically go up in price. And books, unfortunately, depending on the series that you're into, I'm starting to see the prices of books, you know, book increases. Yeah, there we go. Of book increases. So these are the things that you have to consider. I do agree with Olive that at the end of the day, hey, it is your coin and you gonna spend it the way you want to spend it, honey. Okay? But there are pros and cons to having a larger collection. Yes, it looks nice behind the background, you know, when we see these booktubers that we admire and they have this eleganza ambiance of a collection, and you know, us as the audience, you know, we're drooling, we're hungry for it, you know, looking at all these wonderful books and things like that. But then you have to think too in the practical sense, and that was the whole purpose of this this book haul, and understanding, you know, the whole book haul hate thing, is there's a pro and con to it, okay? When you have a big collection, like you see, you know, some of these more prominent and more well-respected, right, booktubers have, you also have to think about, you know, like, what would happen if you were to move, or maybe your finances change and you have to downsize. So this is what I think about, because the other part of this, argument is talking about, of course, consumerism and that, but that's a whole, that's a separate episode right there, okay? Because you do have to be economical when it comes to your book. I have a book budget. So like for me, I tend to lean more towards ebooks, because to be honest, unless that book is on clearance, or if it's on sale, like, I won't get a physical copy. If I can get it in the Kindle, that's what I have, or ebook format, then that's what I tend to lean towards. And I do agree with Olive here, and we'll get back into it here in a moment. Of course, we got we have Corona, hey, welcome. And we also have Jacob Knight, hey, welcome both to the program here. And this is a good question. So Corona is asking, best book with interracial romance elements for a male audience. So here's the thing, guys, and I'm glad you brought this up, is that when it comes specifically to genres like, you know, fantasy, science fiction, we do see higher levels of males, you know, of men being interested in that type of stuff. But with the romance genre, it's still a mixed bag too, but it's still a smaller entity of I don't really see as much men talking about romance, unfortunately, as women. So that's what makes the romance genre kind of challenging sometimes. But I would say, and this is just me, the best book with an interracial romance, I would say, for a male audience. That's a tricky question, because most of the time, I have to be honest, are there romance authors that are men? There are. Right now, I can't think of them on the top of my head, but there are some, and definitely the way the story is written is a little bit different. Most of the romance novels that are out, and of course, to my audience here, if you have any recommendations of interracial romances for men, please leave them in that vicious comment section below. Much appreciated. But most of the ones that I have read, it tends to lean more towards the female perspective, a little more heavier, but that's still good, because I think, you know, it's good for men to also understand that. So I would say, for me, the best interracial romance book, but see, it depends on what type of pairing you like. For me, I tend to read a lot of AMBW, and the reason why I laugh though is because, like, I love it, man. Like, I love Asian men. I find them incredibly attractive. So I would say anything by Love Journey. She is amazing when it comes to AMBW romance, and the guys are very, it's not cheesy. Like, there's actually a dimension to the character. I would also say there was another, yes. I would say for men too, I just got this series recently. I'm going to start reading it. It's an older series, but it's by L.A. Banks, and it's called the Vampire Huntress Legends series. So think of like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, but a little more multicultural. It's very well executed, so I would say that. But you know, that is an excellent question. I'm going to have to come up with some more recommendations. I'll probably have to do a separate episode on that, because it's very rare that I get men asking me that. So this is so refreshing. It makes me feel really happy to get that. And Corona says, thank you, I appreciate it. Yeah, I'll do a separate live episode on that. Because most of the books, I have to be honest, is more targeted towards women. Really, like, it's really more that direction. There are men who write romance. It's still a small minority, but they're out there. I would say too, you may want to check into the science fiction route as well as fantasy, because you have more men writing in those genres as well. And they do have books where some of the authors do have a little more of a romance component. But that is an excellent question. Thank you, Corona, for that. And I'll have to do some research. So I did my best, but I would say Vampire Huntress Legend would be a good starting point. And then, to be honest, even though this is very cliche, but any of the mafia romance books, like, but now here's the thing, it depends on your comfort level, because a lot of times the mafia romances tend to go more of the darker romance direction, and darker romance can be quite controversial. So I would say you may want to go into dark romance too, because they tend to have, not always, but they have a lot more stronger kind of male protagonists. But see, there's a double-edged sword with dark romance, because on one hand, you can have very strong male characters, but then that strength tends to come from a place of negativity, which makes the guy not look good. So it's a very complicated area for men in romance. It really is, because a lot of times men get stereotyped depending on the subgenre of that romance category. So for example, there's what's called alpha romances. So these are like alpha male kind of guys, like, you know, they're super confident, or sometimes they can be super confident and super cocky, and then they treat the woman or the partner like crap, you know. So yeah, you didn't catch me off guard. That's a good question though, for sure. And Corona says, I'm coming from the perspective of black women and white men. Thank you. I'm sorry I caught you off guard. I will check out both suggestions. Yeah, I would recommend that. Now, if you want one with a black woman and a white man, I have to be honest, there are some that are good, but a lot of them are stereotypical, unfortunately. It sucks, where it's like the white guy is like very cliche, and then the black woman is also very cliche, like she's struggling, and then they meet, and then things quickly change, and it's done in a stereotypical way. But there are books where it does execute it a lot better. I can't think of them at the top of my head. I'm so sorry, my friend. But I will do a separate episode on that. If you want me to, I can do, for black women, white men pairings and stuff like that. But I always like to get books where, there at least there's like the guy is well-rounded and there's like a dimension of character versus just this guy that's just like, oh, I'm just here to, fill in the plot of the story, And we have Dan. Hey, what's up? Man, complicated questions today. I love this. And we have Dan asking my thoughts on the Lord of the Rings series. Man, I have to do a separate video on that. I haven't fully read, to be honest with you, through Lord of the Rings. I read it partially about like 5 years ago. But I would have to reread it a little. Like, I read it like halfway and then I got into something else that I was reading. But I will put that on my list of videos that I need to do for you guys and talking about it. But let's get back here to talking about a book, Olive. And thank you so much, Corona. I really appreciate it. But yeah. And Dan's like, can't wait. Yes. Hey, thank you so much. For the follow here, my friend. I really appreciate it here. But yeah, let's get back into it, guys, talking about the whole book haul, and thank you, Dan, so much for following. I appreciate it as well. Let's get back into this whole book haul hate and the whole controversy sometimes around book hauls. But like I was mentioning before, I have a book budget. So like maybe ever so often I'll get a whole bunch of, not too many books, but just something that I know my bookshelf can withstand. But now I'm to the point where I have filled up both of my bookshelves. And I was just like, I'm not going to start putting books on the floor. That's just not my aesthetic. But I switched over to ebooks, and I do agree with Olive, because in this video she also mentions that one of the pros of having an ebook is it makes it easier, guys, in your review process. So for example, I might start reading Outlander after I kind of finish all of the other books that I have to read now. I'm a little bit behind. But you can, for example, the book that I'm reading right now by Tracy A. Ball is actually an interracial romance. And I can just, slide my, open up my Kindle and slide on the screen, and then I can just hit bookmark, and I can bookmark all the sections of my book without having to get like a post-it note and do it physically. It can be challenging sometimes. So that's one thing I would say is a pro with an ebook. And then yes, I completely understand to the people who are gonna say that ebooks may be counterintuitive to them. I get it, because it's something new. You gotta, it has a learning curve to it. Every tablet that you get is gonna act kind of differently and perform differently. But my experience with the Kindles that I've had so far, it's very easy to use, guys. And even Kindle, they have an option where I just found this out today, that it depends on the book that you get. Some books, some authors allow it, some don't. But you can actually turn on a voice to read it back to you. And you can even change the speed of the voice So, you know, if you're someone that's a faster reader, you know, you can make the voice go faster. And that's what I do. So I'll just like turn it on and I'm like, you know, cleaning my room or something. And then if there's a passage that I hear that catches my eye, I'll just pause it, bookmark it. And that's how I've been doing. That's how I do my reviews, guys. You know, it's using, you know, using digital technology. It just makes things easier. But you know, some people, they just like that physical, and I get it. But here's the other thing too. It depends on the context, guys, of what type of book reader you are, okay? Because there's some people that are just book collectors. I mean, they do read, they're like a casual reader. They're not like a serious avid reader, you know? But some people, they just read casually, but they just like to collect different editions, like leather bound editions, first editions, autographed editions, you know. And then it also depends too, like for me, I really am into comics as well. So I recently just transitioned into reading web comics and things, and I have, oh my gosh, guys, there are so many wonderful web comics out there too that I cannot wait to share with you. Beautiful artwork, just really slays, like really storyline well executed. So I just think that, and this is just me as a booktuber, I try to adapt not only to the trends that are going on in the community, but I also have to, as I would say, you know, being a host of this program, I have to kind of do this blend of both, where I'm still reading like physical books, you know, and then I'm also reading ebooks. But here's the thing, guys, like I'm seeing this trend now that a lot of authors are, when they have a physical copy, it's meant as like a special edition or an autograph copy or something like special like that, because the cost to print books is actually really expensive. It depends on the material. So if you're doing like a leather bound first edition of Lord of the Rings, that could be $2,000. Like they have what's called the Book of Lost Tales, which is like the formation of Middle Earth. And this was when Tolkien was in his like early 20s, and he wrote, you know, these books. So it's like, to find a first edition of that complete, good condition, it could be like $2,000-$3,000. You know, it just depends. So, you know, if you're gonna become a more of that, if you're leaning more towards the physical book collection side, you have to have the finances worked out to collect the, you know, those type of things, you know, and not everybody has that. And that's the other thing that I want to acknowledge too, that Olive did mention, but I want to expand on this, is we have to remember, guys, that like, even though, you know, we may have that type of access, you know, to get physical books and things like that, not everybody, guys, has the privilege to get books like that. And this is why we're seeing this emergence now even more of ebooks, because a lot of authors now, some of them are independent authors, you know, or maybe they just want to do a quick novella just to keep their audience, you know, to keep their fans interested for the next release. So that's the reason why we're seeing this increase in ebooks. It's not that, you know, ebooks are going to destroy physical books. I don't think that's going to happen, because there always are going to be people who are book collectors, or some people just like reading a physical copy. That's just their thing. I have learned, just as a new booktuber, is that if you're gonna be successful doing booktube, you know, and doing this, you gotta be able to adapt to both type of technologies in order to be fluid and for you to get different type of audiences. Because some people only read ebooks because it's cheaper for them, or maybe that's the only option. Because there's still some, let me tell you guys, there's still some places in the world that don't have like libraries, like massive, like a really massive library, or if they do, Sometimes the titles that their library may offer is limited. So these are the other factors that I think sometimes doesn't get considered in the conversation. Is it depends on what book series you're interested in. Some are more rarer than others. Your book budget, like how much are you willing to spend? Then the other thing is portability. You know, like let's say, you know, you lost your job or something, you have to downsize your home and things like that. Will you be able to take that book collection with you and for it to, you know, be laid out the way that you want it to be laid out? Or, you know, hopefully it's not taking up too much room in your smaller place or things like that, you know? Because here's the thing, guys, life is unpredictable. So, you know, that's why for me personally, I have a smaller collection, a little bit smaller collection. Like I actually have 2 bookshelves behind here, but they're not that big at all because and I did that intentionally because I knew that I just wanted to buy the books of the the series that I'm really passionate about and I'm a fan of. And I still get newer books ever so often. But when it comes to this discussion, I think the biggest thing you have to consider is your budget and your space. Like how your room or your basement or whatever is laid out for you to have that many books, you know? And then the other thing about book collecting, you can't get it all at once sometimes, guys. Sometimes you just have to buy series piece by piece because, like I said, books are expensive. Let me give an example. Okay, so I just started learning about Outlander. So many people, especially that are into the romance genre, really like Outlander. So I was like, you know, let me get it, you know? Come to find out, this is a very popular book series, and Corona's like, ooh, Outlander, yes. Yeah, it's a great, from what I've been told, it's a great series. So I was like, yeah, let me get it. Yeah. Come to find out, guys, that this is a very popular series, up there with J.R. Ward's Black Dagger Brotherhood. Guys, I barely got all of the books. I have like one more book. I think it's called Dearest Evie or something. It's like a spin-off book. I can't find that. Okay. And then I get the first 4 Outlander books, right? It's in a box set. Let me tell you how much that box set was, guys. It was almost like $30 for those 4 like books, you know? And you're probably gonna say, well, $30, that's not a lot. But imagine, guys, you get into longer series, like for example, Lindsay Sands' Arginal series. I'm really into vampire romance, so that's where most of my analogies are gonna be. So, you know, series like that, where it's like over like 20 books, like 30 books, that adds up really quickly. So this is the reason why I always tell people, like, with bigger series, and this is just my viewpoint, try to find the ebook version of it, you know, and maybe it'll help you save some type of money. But if not, then I would say, okay, get the physical if that's what you're into, but get compilation books where you can get all 4, like, let's say the first 4 parts of, you can get that with Anne Rice's Vampire Chronicles. You can get the first 4 books in a nice leather bound, and I think it's like around $30, maybe $45. But that's more, to me, tangible because you're getting all of the books in one volume and you're saving yourself a little money versus getting them all separate, as whether it's hardcover or it's, you know, paperback tends to be a little bit cheaper. But it all depends on the series. So that's just one thing I wanted to add in regards to the whole book haul thing. You know, I don't see anything wrong with it. The only thing I would say that is very contingent and very important with book haul videos is just do your best to describe the book of the reason why you got it. You don't have to explain the plot or anything, you know, if you don't know that, because that's the whole point of doing a haul, is you're just showing what you got, you know. But if you could just explain, you know, why it resonates with you and things like that, I think that's what the audience really wants, is they just want to know, like, okay, like for example, why did I decide to read Black Dagger Brotherhood, by J.R. Ward. Why did I decide to get this series? Well, for me, and this is how you would do it, for me, I was inspired by one of my favorite YouTubers. You guys know this. I talk about her nonstop, Peace Love Books. And she is a super fan of this series. And I love vampires and stuff like that. So that's what inspired me to get it. That's all you have to say. You don't have to say anything, way too detailed. But as long as you're giving some type of like description of why why you decided to pick these books, because that's one thing I've learned about BookTube, guys, so far. People are very inquisitive. Even on Twitch, I am on twitch.tv/bookshade. Shout out to my Twitch audience as well. That's one thing I've kind of learned is people are very inquisitive when it comes to literature. They want to know, well, why did you pick this book series over this one? Or, what to expect. And, if there's spoilers, you gotta let them know. And that's sometimes a double-edged sword too, because once you get into the wonderful realm of romance books, then you start getting into more controversial genres like dark romance and stuff like that. And then it's like, as a reviewer, it's even more challenging because sometimes you're going to review a book and then people are like, well, why did you review that book? Like, I would never read something like that. So to be a booktuber in 2020, from my perspective so far, it's a double-edged sword. You're not going to make everybody happy. The only thing that you can do is just present, the review as you see it, and give your opinions on it. And, then your audience will, of course, resonate, whatever way they're going to feel about it. But I would say, if there's a book that you want to review and let's say a lot of people don't like it, still review it because you're going to give a different perspective to it. And sometimes it's good to see different perspectives on a book that people don't like, because then you can pick and find out, like, okay, maybe it was the storyline that was really dry, or another person didn't like how the story ended and things like that. So there's nothing wrong with reviewing books that like suck, if you want to call it that. Yes, it can be controversial because when it comes to books, people, like, guys, let me tell you, it's just like soap operas, right? People become invested in these book series. It actually becomes a part of who they are. So I'm not shocked when I do things like a book roast, for example. And let's say I picked a series like, anything by Sarah J. Maas. You're gonna get some heat, because people really like her stuff. Any of these mainstream type of authors, you're gonna get people who are gonna be salty, okay? Let's just keep it real. But that's what comes with the territory, and it's like you have to be prepared for that. It's not right, it's not fun to get roasted because you're giving your opinion. And I'm not saying that this happens all the time, but this is just my observations of how I see BookTube sometimes. That it is a nice community, guys, so accepting, so welcoming. But once you start reviewing popular series, then you start to see this different side of the community sometimes. But that's just what comes with it. If you're going to review popular series, people are going to, people are going to be, more eyes are going to be on you, of course. And people are going to be very passionate about their opinions. So you just take it with a grain of salt. That's what I've kind of learned. You respect their perspective. It may not be, their opinion may not be your cup of tea, but your job as a critic or as someone that is a booktuber, you're just presenting your opinion. Opinion is not fact. It's not, but if you do decide to review things, and I'm just giving a couple of examples, Star Trek, Star Wars, these are two of the most passionate audiences you will ever find. People are very detail oriented in these type of communities. If you review The Witcher, if you review like any like popular science fiction, like those type of things, you're gonna get some heat. Like, that's just how it goes. So, you know, it's not fun to get backlash, but, you know, if you're secure in your opinion, and that's what Olive was talking about in this first video, if you're secure in your opinions and you're secure in yourself and you stand by what you stand for in regards to, you know, reviewing books and stuff like that, that's fine, you know. And it's okay to hear different perspectives from your audience, you know, because that engagement part is very important, but there still needs to be a respect level there, because, like, you know, sometimes what can happen is if let's say you're reviewing like Picard, okay, like a show, right? Just to give an example, Picard is a very some people really like it, some people say it sucks, you know. And let's say, you know, someone's like, oh, you don't know what you're talking about, like that kind of shit. All you have to say is like, hey, you know what, thank you for giving, you know, you don't even have to respond to it if you don't want to. I like to respond because I like to, you know, find out if this person is respectable, right? I just want to find out what their thought process was to say that I was wrong, you know, and things like that. Was it because maybe I had a lack of experience, you know, in regards to describing Picard as a show and things like that? So, you know, those are the things that you excuse me, those are the things that you have to put into consideration, is that if you become a booktuber, you are now in a way a public figure. So any opinion you have, you know, with every action there's gonna be a reaction, and especially if you decide to do popular series. Now for me, I kind of do a mixture of both, where I cover older series as well as newer series. But with the newer series, you know what I do? Just like you see all of these wonderful booktubers do, if you're gonna review a newer series, you have to do more extensive research. Okay, and at the end of the day, you're not gonna make everybody happy, right? With your opinion, it's an opinion, it's not fact, right? It's perspective. But I noticed that people respect you more is when you take the time to really do further research on those type of series. So if I'm going to read a book by Sarah J. Maas, I sure as hell am going to be very thorough. I will have them book receipts, as I call it, okay? You want to be very thorough, you know, because that shows to your audience that, okay, maybe it's not your cup of tea, but at least you respect, you know, the process of, you know, maybe what the author was thinking and things like that. And I notice that's just my experience. You know, I don't get a lot of heat if I really take the time to research something. I may get heat where people, you know, some people just want to spill the tea, honey. You know what I mean? Some people just want to throw some shade. But a lot of times, for me, just from my experience, the heat is reduced if I'm very thorough with my research and showing that kind of respect level. So that's just how I feel. And Corona's asking what social media I am on to follow what you've been enjoying. Well, thank you. You guys can keep in touch with me the following ways. I'm on Instagram and Twitter, which is at bookshade1. So let me so that's it right there. It's just bookshade1. So that's the first part that I wanted to respond to here from ABookOlive, or Olive for short. But yeah, the book haul hate is kind of unnecessary, because look, at the end of the day, people have different tastes, okay? I used to be this way. I know it's shocking, but you know, I'm a very passionate person. So when it comes to the book series that I'm into and stuff like that, I am a super stan for Anne Rice, for the Vampire Chronicles. I'm also, you know, a huge fan of anime and that type of stuff. And those type of audiences are very passionate about the series that they're into, or the characters that they go hard for, you know, things like that. But the hate for book hauls is kind of unnecessary, because all this person is doing is sharing with you the genres that they're into. If you don't like it, then that video is not for you, in all due respect. So I really do appreciate what Olive said on that, and I will have the link below so you can check it out. what, you know, she goes in a little more like detail and specifics about that. But I just wanted to add that component because just someone, and another thing, just because someone is doing a book haul, that doesn't mean they're trying to be extra. Okay, because a lot of times, guys, let me tell you, these books are expensive. And we all know that as avid, you know, we're all at different levels of how we look at reading, right? So my thing is, you spending your hard-earned money, okay, that, as Tamar Braxton would say, that hard-earned coins, okay? You want to buy books that are worth your time and actually have a value to you, you know, a potential value to you. So that is the whole purpose to me of book hauls, is that you're seeing all this different type of diversity of genres. Like for those of you who are new to Bookshade, I mainly read paranormal romance, a lot of vampire book stuff you'll see on here. I also read historical fiction. Specifically, I read a lot of like Victorian era and Edwardian, like that kind of stuff too. And then web comics. I read a lot of web comics from you know, Japan, from South Korea, like stuff like that. So you know, that's the diversity of the things that I'm into. I'm not gonna be everybody's cup of tea, but that's okay, because the people who want to see that content will come and check out this program or check out another BookTuber's program. So at the end of the day, and this is to those of you who are, you know, I can't like be like I'm this experienced BookTuber, because I'm not, but talking from a newer BookTuber perspective in regards to what she said, the book haul hate, don't even mind that. Like, show the books that you want to show. The books you don't want to show, you don't have to show it. But I mean, I understand why some people don't like it, but the whole point of a book haul is to just show what you're, you know, what you're reading. If you can go into deeper detail, that's always a plus. That's always a bonus. But that's just how I see that part. Okay, then she made a second video. This one actually came out in April. The other one came out in like 2015. So that's a little bit, you know, a little bit way back there. Let's continue here. Okay, so that's just how I see that with the book haul hate thing. Like, you know, not everybody's book options is gonna be your cup of tea, so you don't have to watch it. No disrespect, but that it's just it makes people discouraged from doing book hauls if they're getting all this kind of heat, you know. So that's just you know, that's just how I see it. Sorry guys, I'm like really sweaty today. Oh my gosh. All right, so then the second video that Olive made that I'm gonna respond to is how I made friends with ebooks. And I kind of talked about this a little bit earlier, but this video, she specifically talks about how in the beginning she was really like, you know, I only work with like physical books and stuff like that. And then eventually she transitioned into really starting to like ebooks and working with them more. And there's always this criticism about ebooks, like, you know, the learning curve of it, or I just like having physical books, which is fine. But guys, I just have to keep it real. Ebooks are the future, and we're already seeing a lot of publishing companies now are releasing digital only versions of books. So what are you going to do if you're someone that only reads physical books, and let's say the next book in the series is an exclusive novella? Of course you want to read that. I just think the key is, and we're seeing this more on BookTube, is for more and more BookTubers to incorporate Kindles, to incorporate talking about ebooks, because I think that will help help our audiences to be more comfortable with that type of medium, you know. But I don't cancel ebooks like that, because I do book, you know, I do both, pardon me. I do both. You know, I have physical books, and then I also have ebooks. And sometimes, guys, some authors, just because of budget reasons, they may only release a novella in an ebook format. And you can read, guys, ebooks in all different ways. You don't have to read it on a small Kindle. You can actually read it on your computer. You can put it on your phone. They have other types of Android tablets, things like that. So you have a lot of options, you know. So I don't cancel ebooks right away. The other thing, like I mentioned before, we gotta realize that there are people outside of living in America, you know, as an example. And guys, there's some parts of the world where the price of a book is like hundreds of thousands of dollars. So ebooks is the standard that excuse me, like ebooks or laptops and stuff is like the standard way that you would be able to read your books. So we also have to acknowledge that too, that not everybody has what I like to call the privilege of access to get books in the way that we do in America, you know. So that's another thing that we have to recognize. And and Corona says ebooks are a game changer. Yeah, because what's happening, guys, is, yeah, you know, and I honestly feel, because, you know, everybody's at home, you know, staying home as much as they can. Yes, we've seen like a little increase in book sales and stuff like that. But once this situation normalizes, who knows? Maybe book sales might go down, because there's some book genres that do very well, like regardless. So for example, there's YA, which is young adult. That's like the #1 book genre, you know, format on BookTube. That's like the #1 genre that I hear about. Now, I do have some YA because I like series like Vampire Diaries and things like that. But some of the subject matter in those books are more for an adult audience. That's just me personally, okay? Because, you know, when it comes to reading and context and stuff, it's all subjective. It just depends on what you're comfortable with, right? But then the other thing that we have to consider too with ebooks too is, yes, there is a con to it, is the technology sometimes. Like, you know, let's say your Kindle stops working. Well, you know, there goes you reading for that day. But you can still access, if you have like Kindle Unlimited, but they have all types of services that you can get ebooks through your library, you know, things like that. But with Kindle, if let's say you download a Kindle book, you can also read it on your computer. I know some people may not be comfortable with that. But here's the nice thing, and this is the reason why I got a Kindle tablet, guys, is the way you can adjust the setting for your eyes. Like she mentioned that Olive mentioned that, you know, she has an issue with her eyes. So like she can adjust the lighting, you know, so her eye sensitivity, you know, her eyes don't like hurt so much from the light, you know, and things like that. So, and it also, it's portable, because yeah, you can take a physical book with you and stuff, but over time, if you're carrying 30 books, that's heavy, man. Like, you know, so you have to consider those things. So I understand both sides. Some people, they like collecting books, they like the physical feel, but my thing is, if you don't adapt to the technology in the future, and this is more of the context of being a booktuber, or if you have excuse me, let's say you have an author who only releases things digitally, like, what are you going to do? That's my thing. So I think that there needs to be more education. And we're seeing that. We definitely see it now on YouTube and on Twitch as well, that the most successful people who do this are able to adapt with the technology. And I think audiences, you know, or people that are avid readers, we need to do the same thing too. Because there might be a time, guys, not saying that it would happen, but you never know, you know. There might be a time where there could only be digital releases. So you got to adapt to the technology as a reader as well. But that's just me personally. I like ebooks because it's portable, it's lightweight. I can put all of my Kindle books, because I have Kindle Unlimited. I can put all of my Kindle books in my, my tablet, and, I'm on my way. I can read it, highlight, do all that stuff. Yeah, I can do that in a physical book, but this is just my ideology. Man, if I'm paying $30 for the first 4 books in Outlander, I'm not gonna mark it up and stuff. That's just me personally, And then the other thing that you have to equate to, and she didn't mention this, I wanted to add to this too, is the accessories for a tablet. So that's where you spend some money too, because it depends. Let's say you're visually impaired. You're gonna have to get a tablet that is designed for someone that is visually impaired, or you have to get software. Sometimes it's free, sometimes it's not. So that's the other con that I can understand why some people will not do ebooks, is because you may want to get headphones, things like that. But for me, I would rather have my ebook than carrying like 7 books with me. It depends on the series, or maybe you take the first book in the series, whatever. But that's just how I feel about it. Olive did a great job with just executing this argument and really breaking it down and really talking about it. But it is a concern to me that there's this battle going on sometimes where it's like, let me get some water here. Sorry, guys. Sometimes where there's this battle where it's like, if you only read ebooks, it's like a bad thing. Well, if you don't have the space to have this extravagant collection, what you gonna do? You know what I mean? Or, maybe you're sharing a space with your family members and stuff, and you may not have that privilege to even put up a bookshelf or something like that. So, these are the things that we have to consider, guys. Like I tell myself that sometimes, like, not everybody lives the way that I live. That's why it's called lifestyle. Everybody has a different lifestyle. And oh, hey, we got Beauty and the Brit. What up? Welcome to the program. All right. As Quagmire would say from Family Guy, like, giggity giggity. But Beauty says, just catching the end, we'll have to watch it from the beginning. Yeah, this is a very controversial topic, because and this is something she brought up, and I'm gonna conclude with this this last video that she did that really resonated with me. Is she did a discussion. It's called Discussion Differing Opinions on BookTube. And it's this, like, she kind of broke down, like, what really having an opinion really means. It's just perspective. Opinions are not the end all be all. And if you're going to do BookTube, or even be a part of the BookTube community, I think that's one thing that's, to me, very important, is that I respect everybody's perspectives that are different from my own. I can disagree with them, but I can disagree with them respectfully. I'm not going to, be so negative towards them, because here's the thing, guys. Every time someone acts ratchet on BookTube, that affects our community. That causes people to write those articles being like, oh yeah, the BookTube community is so ratchet, like that kind of thing. So presentation, guys, and perception is everything. So you can disagree with someone and be respectful about it. You can disagree with someone and have constructive criticism. Both of you guys could be right in your own mindset, and that's fine, But what's really like frustrating sometimes, and that's what affects BookTube, is when we have these, like, what they call it, like the book Twitter beef, or the BookTube kind of beef. We have to remember that these type of, there's a difference between, like, debating and that kind of thing. That's absolutely fine. But when it gets to the level where it's, to me, categorize it as ratchet, okay, ratchet to the max, that affects this community. It really does. It has a very negative impact. And then the people who are the outsiders looking in, they won't respect our community because they just think we're just fighting and being ratchet all the time about books and stuff like that. So I think it's very important to acknowledge that you can have differences of opinion. You can debate. I debate with my friends all the time. But at the end of the day, we can either, we can still disagree or agree to disagree, or maybe they see my perspective, or if I see their perspective. So I just think there needs to be a respect level when it comes to disagreeing with things. Because at the end of the day, we're all here because of our love of books and reading, and we want to preserve this, guys. For me, the reason why I do Book Shade is because I've been told, guys, my whole life that as an adult, the things that I want to achieve is limited. You can only you can only read these type of books or do these type of things. But I do this show as for adults specifically is because I want for adults out there to understand that I'm sorry, guys, I have something in my eye. I'll be right back here. Sorry. Take it all in, I'm falling. The cityscape by night, wanna catch in my photos. Where you go, every corner twice as bright. They'll be my treasures forever. When I can't hold you tight, I'll see the Stockholm lights. Oh, hey, we got Jenny. Welcome to the program. Sorry, guys, my allergies are on fire. It is a mess. Good God. And yo, Corona, yo, you got me coughing in this bitch. And we also have Jenny. Hey, welcome. And Jenny says, I agree. But yeah, there just needs to be a amicable respect level. Like, for example, with me, a lot of people know me as Joan Rivers of commentary. And it's because, sometimes I can get ratchet with my opinions and things like that. But at the end of the day, I still understand that there are going to be people who have a different perspective than me on how they may see a certain book series or a certain TV show or a certain video game or whatever I'm doing, but I still respect them. You know what I mean? Like, it does affect our communities, guys. Like, I say this about the gaming community, I say this about the art community, is when we have these ratchet situations that happen, it doesn't help. It really doesn't. Like, what it causes is this divide and conquer, and then it makes the community an unhealthy environment, which then people who may be on the outside who want to be a part of this wonderful community, they hesitate. So, and especially as, someone that's an older adult, I feel that I have a responsibility that, I have to carry myself in a certain way in order to be respected, not only in this community, but to be taken seriously overall. So, if you like YA, that's fine, but then you also have to understand that YA is not going to be for everyone, because different book genres, for some people, you have to have a different mindset to tackle it and approach it. So, like, for me, majority of my collection, honestly, is adult and maybe some new adult kind of sprinkled in there. I have a very small selection of YA, but those books tend to have topics that I personally, for me, it leans towards new adult. That's just my aesthetic, but I'm not going to cancel someone who maybe just reads YA exclusively. But the thing that I debate with my friends and things like that and this is where I struggle with YA and understanding why so many adults read it. For me personally, I just can't get into the mindset of the characters to be able to relate to them. And I did some research just to I was just curious to find out like why so many adults are interested in this genre. Beauty says, worrying about how other people read is so strange. I am glad people are reading in the way that's easiest to them. Yeah, like reading is all about accessibility, and it's also about what I like to call reading privilege. If you like, there are some, like, guys, let me just keep it real. There are some neighborhoods, especially communities that have higher levels of minorities. They tend to not always have the best quality facilities like libraries and things like that. Are there exceptions to the rule? Yeah. But for me, I was very fortunate that I was able to go, we had a decent library and things like that. And that's how I was exposed to things like Shakespeare, things like Edgar Allan Poe. But to be honest with you, if I grew up in an environment that there was no access to these things, I don't think I would be as well versed in some forms of literature that I am, So we always you have to remember, guys, this is something that doesn't always get talked about, but there is a cultural privilege in regards to educational access. And the people who have better privilege, they get better access to things. I am an exception to the rule. Shout outs to my parents, because my parents wanted for me to have a better education and to have a better mindset on things. So I was able to, go to library facilities that had much more advanced books and things like that. But guys, some people who look like me, as an example, they don't have that access, or they have to travel hours on end just to read. So sometimes when I hear people say, oh, well, a book is just a book. No, it's not to me. Like, books gave me freedom, guys. Okay? When I was getting teased and bullied and not taken seriously at all, I could just pick up a book and go into this imaginary world where I felt free and I could express myself and laugh, or, whatever emotions that book gave me. It gave me that freedom to not only be me, but that freedom of expression. It's liberating. Reading is very liberating. And I think sometimes books get taken for granted because, in America, we have a easier access to these things sometimes. Not always, but, I always try to remind people of that a book is not just a book for some people. Guys, I've seen people cry, okay? Tears in eyes for getting a book, okay? It's not just a bind with pieces of paper. These authors, a lot of them spend time coming up with these characters that are legendary, and they become legends themselves because, they spend all this time proofreading and, taking it to the publisher, and the publisher's like, not today, go back to the drawing board. And then you have this masterpiece that sometimes may have taken years to create, and even when you pass on, your books are still, they're still here for people to enjoy, and it passes on from generation to generation. So we have to remember, guys, that the work that we do in this BookTube community, it really impacts our audiences more than you may ever know, and maybe for some of us, definitely we know that, but just people coming, even right now, just us talking and having these discussions, it's really, it's helping people to see this community in the positive way that has always been seen, but ever so often, and that happens, it's natural to have conflicts and things, but when those conflicts turn into ratchetness, that affects us. I can only speak for myself. I can't speak for this entire community, but that's just my observations, guys. And and Corona too can relate to that experience. But I always tell people that, you know, I always talk about things from a multicultural perspective, because I feel sometimes, especially with reading, that doesn't always get talked about. It does, you know, but it only gets talked about during, you know, certain cultural months and stuff. But for me, reading is something that is 365, and talking about multiculturalism and things like that is something that's 365 to me, because if I can help more people understand, you know, that type of perspective, then it's making, it's just opening up a better understanding of these things, you know, because sometimes, and I have to do a separate video talking about that, because yeah, it is nice to have these cultural, you know, readathons and stuff like that. It's great, but I also feel that even outside of these readathons, that we talk about these things, because it helps our community expand and get better, you know. But I definitely like to talk about those things, you know, because reading did make a difference in my life, guys. Like, I was told I would never graduate or be successful or smart or anything. And the first book, and you guys know I'm a huge Anne Rice fan, but the first book I ever read, like cover to cover, was Interview with the Vampire. And that's what set it off for me. I'm like, the whole concept of a journalist talking to a vampire about his life and the things he's seen, and that even though he's not human, he still has humanistic qualities. It was so, it like blew my mind, you know what I mean? So that's what reading did for me. So on the outside, I was getting teased and all this hot mess, but when I would open up a book, I didn't have to think about that. It's so liberating, and I still have those same feelings today. So, you know, a lot of times when we're talking about books, we just remember, guys, that there are people that are poor that, you know, they can't always afford it, you know. So when people criticize libraries and stuff, I do get a little bit in my feelings, because that's the only way sometimes these, you know, people who are less fortunate even have the opportunity to read. Okay? So it's nice we have all these books and we do these hauls and things. That's fabulous, but we also have to recognize too that there are people who don't have these things, but they still find a way to, you know, go to the library, do that type of stuff to be able to read and enjoy what we enjoy as well. So I'm just considerate of those things. That's why I wanted to talk about this today. And and I love what Corona said. Let me repeat what Corona said here. Imagine seeing this queen walking up to a pool. I'm simping. That's all the fantasy reading I need. Not to disrespect the stream. It just rhymes, yo. I appreciate that. And you know, and Corona says you absolutely should. But yeah, that's just how I mean, guys, I love BookTube. I really love this community. Like, you know, this is like the first time I've actually been like fully accepted. Like, people don't think I'm like crazy and shit. Like, you know, people value and respect my opinion here. And I'm new, okay? So I still have a lot to learn. I don't know all the terminology, you know? I mean, I'm finally saying TBR and DNF, and like, so I'm still learning, but you know, I just think that's important, you know, that the things that we do in this community, guys, is an outward reflection of how people, you know, and you can't change people, right? You can't force people to think or act a certain way, right? But there's still a respect factor, you know, because the more ratchet, you know, things happen in this community, that's the more that people won't take it seriously, you know. And it's not everybody. It's just sometimes there's always this small minority that becomes the representation, and it's not fair. You know what I mean? So that's just how I feel about it. Guys, once again, check out her channel. It's called on YouTube. It's called ABookOlive's. She really speaks some truth. Like, I was watching her videos today, especially these 3 that I addressed here, kind of, you know, giving additional feedback, and it really resonated with me. Like, sometimes when we think of reading, it's more of the glitz, it's the glamour, like, okay, these are the books I got today, honey, you know. But for a lot of people, guys, reading is more than that. It's a form of liberation. It's a form of, you know, expression that sometimes you really can't put into words, no pun intended. But that's what reading did for me. It allowed me to, you know, think about things creatively that normally I wouldn't, you know. And like I said, so many people told me I did not have the potential and all this stuff. But once I started reading, I started to see my own true potential, you know. And I was fortunate that I had mentors and people who actually, like, over time believed in me and stuff. But guys, reading allowed me to believe in myself. And sometimes we have to think about that it's more than just the characters. It's more than just the words on the page. Like, you know, this is someone that has spent like years, maybe months, who knows, putting these things together that are, you know, sometimes good, sometimes bad, but definitely a lot of my favorite literature are like considered masterpieces. So when we're thinking about this today, guys, when we're thinking about, you know, the book hauls, and, you know, we're thinking about, you know, differences of opinion, that's what a community is about. That you can have arguments and do that type of stuff and still come together. Because if you look at the word community, right, there's unity in there. And part of that unity is, you know, the friendships that you make in this community. And I've been able to meet, you know, some really wonderful people, you know. But then the other component too, and this is where it's a double-edged sword sometimes with BookTube, is sometimes you just gotta keep it real. Sometimes you gotta, like, express how you feel. Because maybe sometimes people don't know, you know, like, oh, I've never considered that, and things like that. You know, there's nothing wrong with a healthy debate. There's nothing wrong with disagreeing, but it has to be done respectfully. Because if it's done respectfully, then people respect our community. And then they don't make a mockery out of it, and then they take it seriously, you know, in that sense. You know, not to put a damper on it, but these are just my observations of, you know, I've been in this community now, like, what, like a month or two. But these are things that I've kind of noticed that I'm like, oh, if these behaviors continue to happen, it could in the future really cripple this community. And guys, let me tell you, like, I was doing research, you know, and there were so many different kind of communities, like, for hobbies and things. But because of ratchetness and all this type of stuff that comes up from time to time, it caused these communities to disappear, and they're no longer around. And not saying that that could happen to BookTube, absolutely not, because it's super big. But, you know, criticizing someone because they read YA, you know, or criticizing someone because they read paranormal romance. I have to do a separate video, unfortunately, just talking about the romance genre. Because when you read that type of literature, it's like, for some people, it's like not classy or something. So these are the things we're going to be talking about, guys. I will be transparent with it, and I will keep it real. That's what we do here. But I still bring a form of intellectualism to it, because that's what I like about BookTube. Because BookTube, you know, as people who love books, we are very intellectually sound people. And I think that's the best way to kind of tackle some of these conflicts, is to, you know, really get to the root of why it happened, or the source of the problem, and then finding solutions and things like that. So that's just how I feel about it, guys. You guys let me know what you, you know, think about, you know, book haul hate, what you think about the BookTube community, the current state of it. I think right now we're in a really good place, actually. We're seeing now this trend of a lot of older booktubers coming in, and, you know, now we're getting so many variety of different opinions, and it's great. We're also seeing now an emergence that it's been around, but we're starting to see more people talking about romance genre as well as historical fiction, and things like that. So yeah, I'll do this, guys, from time to time, just kind of talking, like giving kind of like a state of address in a way, you know, talking about BookTube and the culture of it, and my observations on it. But I love this community, guys. Like it's so many nice people in this community, you know. And yeah, you know, you have your arguments and stuff, but every community has that. But I think with the intellectual level that this community is known for, it should be seen and it should be done in a respectable way, because respect gives value, and value is what you want when it comes to a community, period. I don't care if it's, you know, a geek hobby or, you know, anything like that. Is, you know, if you give a respectable value to it, people, even if they're not into books like that, they'll still respect it the same way, you know. But I know this is going to get a lot of opinions, which I am very excited for. And we'll have some really good debates. And oh, hey, we have someone new. Hey, we have Shals. And Shals says, having difference of opinions is what makes reading so much fun. If we always agreed on everything, we'll miss out on so many different ways to look and understand and connect with the story. Amen to that. Amen to that. I wholeheartedly agree with that. But see, what happens sometimes is, because reading is so niche based, like you could say way back in the day, there were niches, guys. Like for example, I was reading about like the history of YA. YA has been around, guys, actually for a long time. But there's always been this ultimate debate about YA, right? You have YA as a genre, and then you have YA as a marketing genre. And this is where I debate with this, is YA an actual genre, or is it done for marketing purposes? Because sometimes I've read YA where I'm like, this is a marketing book. You know what I mean? But then you get some YA where, like Vampire Diaries, I was surprised it was even labeled YA, because the way that, you know, how some of the characters are thought out, there's a complexity to it, you know? So it's, you know, that's something I kind of debate with, like, but I agree with you, Shals, that, you know, having difference. But see, sometimes when you have a difference of opinion, unfortunately, we live in a cancel culture. And that cancel culture, what that signifies is, well, if you have a difference of opinion from me, it's not valid. And that's sometimes the arguments that we see in BookTube sometimes, is it's this battle of what has validity and what doesn't have validity. Both opinions have validity. It's just that there's different context to those opinions. So, you know, to me, it's like, let me put in a good analogy. Like wrap-ups versus book reviews. Always a hot topic on here, right? And and Jenny says that she watches a whole bunch of different types of YouTubers. Yeah, and reading more of the backlist and older books and romance. Yeah, there's always this battle between the old and the new. This will always go on. And this is something that I struggle with, is that, like, when I got into BookTube, I felt like I was a little bit behind, you know, and especially, you know me, I read a lot of like paranormal romance, and romance is a tricky genre sometimes, because there's people who appreciate the older stuff, but then stuff from the 70s and 80s, it's seen as problematic. And then when you read that stuff specifically, we live in this cancel culture, so then people want to cancel you because they don't think that you are well-rounded because you are reading romance books from this particular genre. So to me, I feel, this is just me, I like to read a little bit of everything to show the type of versatility of what the type of books that I'm into. Some people like more niche-based stuff. I give a little bit of variety, but it's hard, you know, because of cancel culture now. It's like, let's say I do a review on Sarah J. Maas or one of these popular authors, right? And let's say I'm very specific and I'm like, hey, you know, this scene did not work for me, or this was not giving me life. As soon as I say that, I will have a like parchment paper constitution of haterade. That shouldn't happen. All I'm doing is giving my opinion. That's just one perspective. It's okay to be a fan of a book series, totally fine. I'm very passionate about pro wrestling as an example. I have my favorites, and then I have some pro wrestlers that are not my cup of tea. But I still have a respect level for the people that I don't like, because I have to acknowledge that these people are athletes. You know, they're going through a lot of training to look the way that they look, to do what they do. You know, maybe their wrestling style doesn't resonate with me, and vice versa. So that's the thing, you know. And we have Jolly who says Brock Lesnar. See, I'm not as good as Paul Heyman, but Paul Heyman's one of my heroes, actually. He's one of the reasons why you know, I really got into like broadcasting and things like that. He does the best promos. So welcome, Jolly, to the program. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. I really, really do. Now, here's the moment, guys, here on the program where we'll do some, I would say, some BookTube Q&A. So if you have recommendations or things you want me to talk about in the future, I'm actually going to make a list of like video topics and things, and like go down that list and things like that, because I'm all about audience interaction. And Charlie says that was a great Lesnar. Yeah, I love me some Brock. Just Brock Lesnar is ridiculous. Just the whole character is a hot mess. That's just me. Paul Heyman is the only reason why I even care about Brock Lesnar when he comes out. Honestly, honestly, when he comes out, my client, Brock Lesnar. You know, I'm just like, oh my gosh, what is going to happen next? And then, of course, I love me some Drew McIntyre. That is one fine Scottish daddy right there, I have to say. No lie. But yeah, so if you have any Q&A questions, guys, definitely let me know before we conclude today's episode here. And Dolly said, it made my day that you said it. Oh, well, I appreciate that, my friend. Yeah, I like having fun. You know, even though I can be very stern and direct at times, and I love debating and engaging with my audience like that, but I still laugh. I still enjoy life, you know, because like as a lot of booktubers would say, like, guys, it's just books. You know, like some people take it really seriously. Like, I cannot wait, guys, until I do like Sarah J. Maas books or some of these popular series. I know I am going to get roasted like Kentucky Fried Chicken. Okay? Roasted. Not even extra crispy. Roasted. Okay? And and Jenny says there's only a few mainstream books that I read. But I have been reading the author for a long time. And Corona says, do you post what you're reading so I can? Oh yeah, for sure. Let me put up my bring up my Goodreads. I just got it. You see, guys, I'm old as dirt. I'm like a booktuber Grim Reaper. Okay. So yeah, I just got a Goodreads. I just you guys can actually go and check out I did a live where I actually organized my entire book collection like a TBR. It took forever, guys. Forever. So, let me bring up, see if it will show here. Oh yeah, here I am. And I'll link it on my YouTube channel as well and put it on my Twitch as well. No, I am old as dirt, my friend. It's just good moisturizer, that's all. And makeup. Like when I take this off, I look like a tree monster, as Lonnie Love would say. One of my favorite comedians. And oh, and Jenny asked, did you finish that historical you were reading? I am almost done. Guys, let me tell you, I am salivating Civil Warriors. That's the interracial romance I'm reading right now. I am not even going to ruin that book roast. It's going to be coming up in the next 2 days. If you guys want me to do a live on it, I absolutely will do like a commentary on it live, because oh my gosh, guys, this is like Civil War Jerry Springer. I have never read a book that has had so many twists and turns and eleganza. Okay, it was so crazy. Like, this was me reading it, guys. Just like, I have my Kindle out, right, living my fantasy, and I'm just like, what? Like, oh my gosh, I just cannot contain. I could not contain. I'm like, this is crazy. I've never seen a book series go, like a book, it was a standalone book, like so many twists and turns. So I've been marinating it, you know, just like Brock Lesnar. Okay, a mess. So yeah, I'm almost there, Jenny. But yeah, you know, I'm doing this show for us, you know, older people, because it's like, as soon as you get old and you start putting more moisturizer on your face, it's like people cancel you. You know? And oh, Beauty says, we love dramatic reads, so entertaining. Oh, let me tell ya, I bring it, okay? Get your life. So I am very savage when it comes to the way that I review books. Like, I bring the book receipts. Like, I will actually bookmark the section and talk about it. So, and it's not to be like spiteful or anything, but my thing is this: with the price of some books are very affordable, some are free, you know, like Kindle Unlimited. So it's not that reading is so expensive, but once you get into these multiple volume series like Lindsay Sands' Arginal series, you know, some of those bigger book series, I like to go in depth with the book receipts, because at least, and I'll make sure it's spoiler free as well, because I know some people, they want that book tea, but it's like, I'll give you the partial tea because I don't want to ruin it for those of you who may be currently reading it. But you know, you're spending all this money. For me, the way I look at it when I do a review is I want to present it as, is it really worth your hard-earned coin? Okay, like, on real. So okay, and this is a good question, and Jenny says, I agree. Oh, the book drama, yeah, I think I'm gonna have a lot of people pissed off at me in this community, so I'm waiting for it. Like, I'm waiting for it, because when I do a book review, I'm very balls busting head on, you know, like, okay, this is really worth your time, you know, is it, you know, because, like, here's the thing, guys, some of these books, all right, they're like tome level, okay, over 400 or 500 pages. It can take 7 hours to read, you know, and I'm one of those readers, I'm a juicy reader, so I like to read for all the tea, you know. You know. So, and Corona says, no moisturizer, I don't believe. Oh no, I am much older than that, Corona. Much older. And thank you for the stream. Yeah, for sure. I'll be doing this, guys, once a week on Sundays at 8 o'clock Central Time. If I'm running a little bit late, it's because, you know, Somebody in my family needs something, okay? Ridiculous. No, I love my family. No, no, I'm messing. No, they're great. No, shout outs to my parents, because it was actually my parents that really got me into reading too. And till this day, like, if my mom sees, because I love horror too, like I just love reading stuff where I'm like, this is so juicy, you know what I mean? Okay, so Jolly's gonna kick my ass here if I don't answer this question, so let me answer it. All right, so Jolly, all messiness aside, so Jolly asks, do you rather read the actual books or do it on the Kindle? That is a good question. For me personally, I like to read it on the Kindle because I can take notes or bookmark and stuff. Not that with the physical book, I can't. And I mean, sometimes if it's a series that I want, like for example, guys, I got all of the Stooky Stackhouse series. That's the tea right there, okay? So I got that, you know, so that I turn on, you know, if it has an audio book, I'll buy it. I turn on the audio book and then I'll actually have the physical in my hand. So I'm, you know, reading it at the same time. That's the best way for me to retain information, is having some type of voice in my ear like that. And then, like, sometimes depending on the voice actor of the audiobook, maybe they do certain inflections and things like that. So it makes the character kind of come alive. So like when I do reviews, you know me guys, I read, okay? So listening to an audiobook, having the physical copy is great, because sometimes maybe there's a different pronunciation or certain, you know, I can highlight certain words in the book or something like that. But with the Kindle, I can just go whoop, you know, bookmark, on to the next, bookmark, on to the next. Library is closed, I can turn it on. I actually am charging my Kindle right now, because guys, let me tell you, the tea was so hot in Civil Warriors. Okay, I took off my wig. It was a mess. I was just like, really? I cannot wait to finish that. Hopefully, I'm almost done, guys. I got like an hour left, but I had to marinate it. I didn't want to read it too quickly and be like, you know, I'm one of those readers where it's like I'm a little bit slower, but it's because I want that tea to marinate. I want that, you know, that romance to marinate for me a little bit. Let it sizzle a little bit. You know what I mean? But don't get me wrong, we will be reviewing smut as well. I appreciate some good smut, all right? Get your life. Oh, and Jenny says, yes, I have all those books. Yeah, I love Stooky Stackhouse. I have all the books for Vampire Chronicles except for 2. But I might get the ebooks on that because I just don't have the space. Then I have almost all of the Black Dagger Brotherhood except for that one stupid spin-off book. And which I cannot find. Oh, this is a good question. Shals asks, what are your most hated tropes? Okay, this is my thing. I hate alpha male, but alpha male is so popular in like romance though right now, especially on Kindle Unlimited. Oh, I will give you guys the tea on KU, okay? Because there's some stuff that's good on there, but there's some stuff that is a hot mess, okay? And to me, the whole alpha trope is ridiculous, okay? I don't have a problem with a confident man, okay? But when that confidence level is disrespecting women and treating them like they dishwashing soap, I'm gonna have to cancel you. I'm just saying. Like, I cannot stand alpha male. The insta love, it has to be done right. Because sometimes with insta love, they're just like, we looked into each other's eyes and I knew he was the one. It's like, okay, does that happen? Yeah, but like come on, let the love manifest naturally, please. You know, it's so artificial, and like romance now, like we're seeing, you know, that some of the authors are making more slow burn, but the slow burn is too slow. I cannot stand a super slow burn. Okay, that story better be so juicy that like when we get to that part, I'm just like, yes, squad. But yeah, I would say that. Yeah, those are my main 2. What's the other trope that I was looking up that was irritating to me? Oh yeah, damsel in distress. Okay, maybe it's just because like I'm a very strong woman, you know? So it's like if it's done correctly, but like if you read romance novels, especially notorious in 70s and 80s romance novels, it's like the woman has no brain. Okay, I'm not sure if y'all are familiar with, I'm really into pop culture, okay? And there was this show on MTV, classic. It was called Newlyweds. It had Nick Lachey, of course, when he was married to Jessica Simpson. And you remember that infamous episode. I just watched it. I bought it on, I bought the box set. So, because I actually do love Jessica Simpson. Like, she's really cool. She has a very interesting story. But like that infamous episode where she has chicken, or no, it was tuna of the sea, and she asked Nick, is there chicken in tuna of the sea, or is it chicken? And like you could tell Nick was like, I got a divorce. I need a divorce. I cannot handle this. Like, where are the divorce papers? I need them now. You know what I mean? It was a legendary episode, guys. Please go check it out. Hilarious. Okay, so that's my other thing, is that damsel in distress, that airheadedness. I like strong female protagonists. Like, I appreciate that. So I'm surprised that I don't like thriller and suspense romance, because sometimes the suspense is too much. Okay, it's like, all right, you came and saved me. Okay, let's make this relationship work, please. Good God. And Jolly says, so for Suki, do you rather the show or the books? I would say the books, because now here's my thing. To be fair though, I've watched the first season, I'm into the second season, and all True Blood is sex. You know what I mean? Now, don't get me wrong, it's very juicy, okay? Like, yes, squad. But but overall, though, the books are more descriptive. Like, I felt like the show, the first 2 seasons, I was told maybe season 3 was really good. But then after that, it was just shock value. And honestly, I think that's what killed the vampire shows, is because of shows like Vampire Diaries, for example. You know, like there's some moments where it's really, really good, but because of that soap opera format that they made the show, that's what killed off vampire shows. Like, you had this incline with Twilight, which we'll get into that. And then you have Vampire Diaries, and then it was like, woo. But the only other place that I watch vampire shows now is the BBC. Like, British people love some vampires, and they do some really good vampire shows that I've checked out, you know, from overseas. Oh, and K-dramas. There are so many vampire K-dramas. I was really surprised, actually. And Jenny says that was one of the dumbest things I ever watched. I know, amen to that. Good God. I literally was watching it like this. I was like, are we serious, bitch? Like, like, what are we doing here? What are we doing here? And Beauty says, I remember the Chicken of the Sea. Freaking hilarious. I love it. Her first solo album is a bop, though. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Okay. I mean, guys, like, my dream was to be Jessica Simpson. I was just like, oh my gosh, she had like, I thought she had like the perfect dream life, you know, getting married to Nick Lachey and everything. But here's the thing, guys, a lot of these pop stars have really miserable fucking lives. Like, you know, when you're in the spotlight like that, everybody's judging you, reading you for filth. I can't even imagine. Oh my gosh. And oh my gosh, yeah, it was hilarious watching that. I was just like, did she really, like, did you really say that? I don't think so. Oh my gosh, yeah. But that's what we do here, guys. We talk a little bit of everything, but books, you know, are the main focus, of course. But then, you know, we have moments like this where we just chill and talk. I also will play like Otome games. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with that. They're very popular in Asia, and what they are is you pick your love interest and then you go through the story. And I do all the voices and everything. Some of them are have voiceover, but a lot of them don't. Actually, you know, I will, if you guys want, there's one that I'm playing right now. It's called Pub Encounter. Hilarious. It is so good. It is so good. But yeah, I do all the voiceovers for the characters and stuff. And yeah, it's a good time. It's a good time. But yeah, that's what we do here, guys. I mean, I do my book reviews. I do stuff like this where, you know, I give commentary on things that I observe in the BookTube community. I talk mainly paranormal romance, webcomics, historical fiction. But if there's other genres that you want me to give my 2 cents on, like YA, I can't wait till I do my YA stuff because I know I'm going to get roasted. I'm gonna get roasted like John Cena. Oh my gosh. I love me some John Cena though. No lie. No lie. But any more questions? Or recommendations? Or things you guys want to see on the show if I can do it? Because you know, I'm always open to... Because you know me, I can come up with ideas. It's not a problem. Alright, so Shals, this is a good question, y'all. And Shals says... Is there any genres in romance that you typically won't read or typically stay away from, like fantasy, dark romance? Ooh, okay. Now it's time for some book receipts. No, I'm being extra. No, that is a good question. So, okay. My thing is, I just recently bought some dark romance. I have this book that's called like The Bastard Gentleman. I'm like, good God. I'm like, that's straight to the point. Like, okay, this guy is gonna be a total douchebag. All right, you know. And then I have this trilogy. When I review this for you guys are going to gag. Okay, it's called Russian Tattoos. It is a Russian mafia dark romance. And just reading the synopsis of this, I'm just like, should I really review this on the show? Because I know I'm going to get roasted. So I would say genre-wise, I tend to stay away from the alpha romance stuff. You know, I try to give it a try. I stay away from sports. Oh, I know, like, a lot of people like the sports romances, but I cannot... You know, sometimes it goes too in depth where they're like, you know, like the hockey romances where it's just like they're playing a game for like 15 pages and it's like, will someone win, please? I want to see what happens to the couple, you know. I also will not read stereotypical interracial romance. I have an issue with that where you can tell that there was not enough research done, so the relationship is kind of based off of stereotypes. I won't read that. I cannot stand interracial romance that's not organic. It's just that's what makes the genre, you know, the subgenre look really bad. What else I won't read? I am not into shapeshifters. I tried to give it a try. I really tried. But I'm just not into that. That whole Ice Barbarian series, I know a lot of people go hard for that, but not for me. Now, I did cancel historical romance. I know some of my BookTuber friends will laugh when I say that. But I actually got back into historical. You just have to find the right type of historical, because sometimes the historical be dragging on like menopause, and I'm just like, oh, I can't. And some YA, because here's the thing, guys, like I said earlier, there's 2 ways people see YA. It's either YA as a marketing ploy or YA as an actual genre. But what unfortunately happened is, and to keep it real, because of the popularity of I don't know, a multi-billion-dollar series called, I don't know, Harry Potter, because of Harry Potter, YA exploded and it became a trope in itself. Separate episode coming soon. I'm still doing the research. But oh my gosh. Like, Harry Potter, it was a pro and con. Now, I'm not really into Harry Potter like that, but it turned YA upside down. That's why we have the hot mess of the issues that are within that genre, is because of series like Harry Potter exploding. Then all of the publishing companies were like, I think we need to capitalize on this. And then they started making all these crappy YA series that, like, unfortunately, guys, no one will ever read. Like, I'm talking about bad plot, you know, the characters are not relatable, you know, things like that. But you know what I think should happen, and this is just me, I know there's YA crossover, but because of so many adults reading this genre, I really think they should make an adult YA. Like a crossover between new adult and some YA components in there. I know it's available like that, but I think they should call it that, because YA is just all up in the air now, okay? And then you have Sarah J. Maas, who has added a new flame to the fire, okay? So YA is a hot mess right now. A hot mess. So I contemplate reading it. Now, I still will get some series if it's historical related. Like, for example, I have Rochelle Mead's the first 2 books in the Glittering Court. You know, but the reason why I think I would like the Glittering Court is because there's some type of maturity level to it. I also like Gail Carringer. She writes a lot of, like, Victorian steampunk. But the female protagonists are not like the generic, strong trope kind of female protagonists. They're actually realistic. So, you know, but that's just me though. Those are the things I cannot stand. But anything else, I'm pretty much game, you know. As long as it's not like, I would say, ridiculously offensive. Like I said, you know, like really stereotypical interracial romance. I cannot stand that. Oh my gosh. All right. Oh, we have Oakland Xander. I'm just gonna call you Xander so I don't fuck it up. Welcome. And Xander says, favorite book of all time. I have to give it to Interview with the Vampire. That's where it started for me, guys. That's like my foundation. I go hard for Anne Rice. Majority of my collection is Anne Rice because I love her, you know. Her books are always consistent. Now, even though she's my favorite author, though, I did not care for the new Tales of vampire books. The Victorio, the Vampire, and Pandora. Those were drier than menopause. I was just like, As much as I love you, Anne Rice, I had to cancel those. They were a hot mess. I just couldn't get into it. And I have Prince Lestat and I have the Atlantis one, so I'll have to read those. But, you know, I try not to read reviews unless, like, I finish the book and I want some, like, kind of a supplementary opinion on it. But I also look up, like, other critics and commentators and how they feel about it, too. Just so that I have, like, some type of balance, you know? But then I don't try to feel like persuaded by their opinions and stuff. I do my best, guys. I do my best. And and Chell says aliens got the boot. Yeah, you know, it's gotta be a sexy alien, you know what I mean? If it's that standard kind of Lord of the Rings kind of alien, it doesn't get me hot and bothered, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't, you know? But that's just me. Okay, but yeah, I would say Xander, that would be my favorite book of all time. And Jenny says, YA, fantasy, and dark romance or sports, but that's just me. Yeah, dark romance, I'm gonna tell you right now, like I said, we gotta talk about that. That's a hot topic right there in the romance book community, because people get mad press, like really offended when it comes to dark romance reviews. But here's the thing about dark romance. You really need to know what you're getting yourself into, because there's different degrees of it. Not all dark romance is meant to be smutty. It's not always meant, even though it's called dark romance, is not always negative, guys. It's not always negative. It just depends on it depends on the series. But I know I'm gonna get so much crap for when I do dark romance. I'm gonna have people being like, I cannot believe that you would go to the extent to read this type of smut. Unsubscribe. I'm waiting for that. Because we got books like, I'm not gonna spoil it, because the one book that I'm reading, it seems to be one that a lot of romance, some romance booktubers are like, not for me. But I'm one of those people that I'll give it a shot. You know, I'll at least give it a shot. If it's something where I'm like, this is ridiculous, like DNF, I will do that. But there's some books in my TBR, which I have my up and coming update TBR video coming up shortly, but oh my gosh, there are some dark romance where I'm just like, this is ridiculous. So I completely understand, Jenny. Because it's an acquired taste, and you gotta be in a special mindset to comprehend some of that stuff. It's crazy. Like, some of it I'm just like, that's a damn shame. You know, No, you should have left him a long time ago. Long time ago. A mess. Okay. And and Jenny says you're just not reading the right ones. Well, I just started, y'all. So I'm diving in real deep. The one apparently on my TBR, a lot of my booktuber friends were like, ooh, bitch. Oh man, just the concept. I'm not even gonna, I'm keeping my lips zipped, but this one, oh, I'm gonna get roasted. I'm gonna get roasted. I'm gonna get mega roasted for this. I'm looking forward to it, because I know I'm gonna have people just be like, you are just, I can't unsubscribe. I'm waiting for that. Let's see, what else? Okay, and Jenny says I'll read paranormal historical. I know the whole motorcycle gang thing is really popular. The motorcycle gang romances, like, they are lit apparently. But my favorite trope, though, I do like, what do they call it, like the like, I do like anything with like older man. That I enjoy that's me personally. So I like me an older man in general. Yes, go on. Tea spilled. Oh, this damn show. But yeah, I do like that. Any older man romance, I can appreciate. I do, especially if the guy is respectful. I will not read. It's rare if I read something with a guy that be mad disrespectful, because then I get pressed, you know. Then I feel like I want to jump in that book and be like, let me tell you something. Like, this is how you treat a lady. Get your life, you know. And okay, let's see. Wow, we got a lot of people in here. Thanks, guys. I appreciate this. And Shout says, I find it sometimes hard to read YA because it's difficult for me to connect with the characters because I'm older. I know! But see, when you say that as an older booktuber, here's the real tea, okay? When you say that, like, hey, I tried YA, but because I'm older, I can't relate to it. Then you get people being like, you know, the people who are like super avid, like YA readers, you know what I'm saying? And they'll just come and just roast your ass. It's just like, first off, you haven't found a YA book that tickles your fancy, so you can have several damn seats. And it's like, oh. Hold up, okay? It's just not right for me. I'm not saying to cancel YA, it's just not for me. You know, YA is, it's And see, like I said, there's all these new kind of context to genre, so they may have to change it. Who knows? They may not have. They may have to split it up or something in the future. Maybe it's not gonna be called YA. You know what I mean? But I just can't relate to the characters myself. Like there was one I was reading where it was like it was oh, I'm sorry guys. Oh my gosh. But okay, so the one that I was reading, it was like this young lady and the guy, and they were on this like quest or whatever, but like she liked him, but then he was like being on some bullshit, and that irritates me. So, you know, that's why I like new adult, because at least there's hopefully some type of maturity there, you know. And also too, like with the female protagonists, they're meant to be strong, but then a lot of the books I read within YA, they're like weak too. So I'm like, how can you have a strong female protagonist that's weak? Like, what are we doing? You know? So those are some of the issues that I have with the genre. But then I have books that surprise me. Like I have one that's about it's called Finishing School book series by Gail Carringer. That one really surprised me because the female protagonists are actually smart, like not airheaded, like really strong, and they can stand their own, but they're not the type where they're like, oh, I don't need no man, you know, like, you know what I mean. So it's just her characters, especially female characters, a very healthy balance of reality. So that's sometimes the issue with YA, is that there's unrealistic standards, especially like what's going on now with some of the more modern YA. It's like the same kind of carbon copy story. Are there exceptions to the rule? Yeah, but that's few and far between. It's always like this, you know, really angry, aggressive, like female protagonist, and then this jerk off guy, and then for some reason, like, they need each other or something like that. It's just the same formula over and over, you know? It's really annoying, quite, to be honest, you know? But I have a couple YA series. I have this other series called the Lux series. And that's like, you know, think of like, I would say it's like, what's the best way I can put it? I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with the show Gilmore Girls, but like in late 19th century. So I can't wait to read those. Those are going to be interesting. And then, yeah, but people get press. Let me tell you, when it comes to YA, you can cuss out any other genre. Like, people can make fun of people in sci-fi. You can make fun of people in fantasy. You can make fun of romance readers, and that's A-okay. But let you clock some YA, it's going down, okay? It is going down. Like, people get pressed. Like, really pressed, where you're just like, you know, you can see their hairline. That's how pressed they get. So nobody got time. That's why, you know, I don't do a lot of YA stuff, is for that very reason. Because you know, for me, I like having fun. I don't like dealing with the, you know, the vicious comment section, be like lit, like not in the good way lit, but like the first off, you don't even know YA because you only have a quarter of those type of books, and secondly, you're stupid and your hair looks dirty, and it's like, it's okay. Okay, like relax. You know? If you like YA, do your thing. I'm not gonna criticize you, but you know, I go back and forth with it. Maybe I'm taking a hypocritical stance on it, to be honest. But some of the series that I have that are labeled YA, it is much more mature though, so I wouldn't even call it YA. I would say new adult, but we shall see, guys. I will leave it up to you guys as the alternative book snobs to determine that factor, besides my opinion here. And yeah, Jenny says that's exactly why I don't read YA. Yeah. It's I mean, I understand the popularity of it, but there's still things within the genre that are problematic. And that's why I'm doing my research. Because, see, I bring the book receipts. I'm not the type to just be, talking some shit. Like, I bring them book receipts, okay? And, Shal says, how can people be upset with other people because they've grown out of YA? It actually happens. Okay, like, I'll give a example of this. So let's say, you've had a group of friends, y'all been together forever, and, you guys are all avid readers, and you started reading YA, and then for some moment, you have maybe an epiphany moment. I call it, like, a book epiphany, like a book genre epiphany, and you're like, hey, you know what? I'm enjoying YA, but let me try some historical fiction. And then if you have good friends, they should be like, hey, you know what? Good for you. You go on with your bad self. You go on and read that historical fiction and get your life. That's what good friends do. But sometimes you have these shady friends who are not your friends, but you know what I mean. Everybody got that shady friend. All right. And you switching over to something else and they'd be like, wait a minute. Okay, so you want to read historical fiction while we all reading YA? What are you doing? And then they kind of make you feel guilty, and you're like, you know what? Okay, let me put back that historical fiction book, and then I'll just get YA because I don't want to be bitched at. That actually happens, guys. It actually can happen. Doesn't always, but I've seen that. Whereas this is something that commonly happens. The only reason why I bring up romance, guys, is because of all the genres that are on BookTube, romance and fantasy are the two genres, and YA sometimes too, that gets a lot of crap. Like, romance is seen as like this primitive genre, but when you actually start to read it deeper, there's a lot of complexities to it. It's not easy to write a love story. Like, people are very particular with their love stories now. They want realism, they want the tea, they want the steam, different levels of steam, you know what I mean? So, and Jenny says true. And Lana, hey, welcome. Lana. See, anytime I think of Lana, I think of Bobby Lashley. See, I'm really into pro wrestling, guys. So y'all gonna get sick of my pro wrestling analogies, but anytime I think of Lana, that's what I think of. Like, I was watching last week, guys. That segment was terrible on Raw. Freaking Bobby Lashley. I mean, he's strong, though. I'll give him props for that. But he's like, let me lift this tire. And then you see Lana like, oh, baby, you're so strong. And I'm just like, bye. I am so like, but see, that's the thing. That's when you know you have a good character, is when you love to hate that person. That's what makes Lana a great heel, is because people love to hate her, especially on social media. I feel so bad for her. She gets so much hate on social media. And another person who gets a lot of hate too is it Nia Jax? Yeah, Nia Jax. She gets a lot of hate too. And Lana says, we finna read Harry Potter. No, I am not a Harry Potter fan. I am a Lord of the Rings fan. So, case closed. It's just not my thing. I tried it, guys. My friends were like, oh, you totally have to check out Harry Potter. It's really good. It's quite smashing. And I'm like, okay, if it's quite smashing, let me try it. So we watched the first movie, and I was just like, where are the phasers? Like, I mean, don't get me wrong. I can appreciate, magic and that kind of thing, but I just couldn't relate to the characters. Whereas with Lord of the Rings, I could relate to the characters, It was just, I just had a deeper connection with it, maybe. But honestly, if I was in the Lord of the Rings universe, I would either be an elf, or I would just, be like, Sauron's accomplice or something. I've always wanted to play a villain character in a movie, though. Because you see, the nicest people often play like the best villain characters. Like, they really do. Like, oh my gosh. Because people would not expect that too. But yeah, I am not into Harry Potter. Not my cup of tea. We'll talk about Lord of the Rings, Star Trek. That's where it's at for me, you know? Now, Dune is an acquired taste. I have the prequel, so I'll have to read that. Some people like it. Some people are like, this is not for me. And, oh, Shouts, thanks for bringing the questions. All right, let me turn my fan on, guys, because as you can see, I am sweating. So I'll be back here. Oh my gosh. Sweating up a storm. Ugh. Hashtag being a fat woman. Being fat. It's like sweating all the time. Gross. Okay, no. Oh, I'm being a mess. A mess. Full of drama. No. I'm sure so many people are going to think of me as being a drama queen now, and they're just like, I hate you. It's like, ugh. I get no love, guys. No love. Okay. All right, good question. So Shals asks, what is a book that you really didn't like where the majority of people loved? Harry Potter. Like, I really tried, y'all. I really tried with Harry Potter, but I just couldn't get into it. Another series like that, which I will unfortunately have to read just because someone wants for me to, is Twilight. Even though 50 Shades of Grey is the adult version of Twilight, but it's just like, what are we doing? You know, like vampires being all glittery like Rick James. Only Rick James can have that much glitter. Okay? And James Brown. You know what? Even to push it, Adam Lambert. They can have tons of glitter. But I'm sorry, Edward. I just can't. And the whole formation. Now, I am a hypocrite because I do like Vampire Diaries, so it's like the same like problematic issue, like, you know, how Alana, you know, being torn between the Salvatore brothers there. But see, my thing is, I'm team Damien, man. I don't got time. Stefan whines too much. I can't. Like, I don't know if I want to drink blood. It's like, you're a vampire. That's how you're supposed to live, bro. Like, a mess. We will have fun here, guys, as you can see. Oh, and Jenny says Liberace. Yes, you are correct. Okay, and him too. Okay, the amount of glitter. Maybe it's because I saw like the trailer for the movie, and when I was like, what kind of lotion? Like, it was just so much glitter. Like, and Kristen Stewart cannot act at all. That's like Dakota Fanning in 50 Shades of Grey. Like, what are we doing? Now, don't get me wrong. She did redeem herself in the second movie and the third movie. I think maybe she was just nervous because here's the thing. You know, when your parents are very successful actors and then you decide to do a movie like 50 Shades of Grey, like, that's a lot of pressure, okay? So maybe that's why she was nervous with the acting. Like, you know, I mean, Anastasia is shy like that, but not like so awkward like that. I was just like, what are we doing here? You know, and I didn't first like, what's his name, Jamie Dornan or whatever, as Christian Grey, but once he put on the cunningness in the second movie, a little bit, then I was like, okay, I can see it, but he made Christian Grey too creepy. That's my issue with 50 Shades, the movies. Okay, like, he was a little bit too creepy. Sorry for the spoilers, but like 50 Shades Darker, like, there's this scene where she's like, you know, he's like, burr, burr, calls her up, and, you know, she's like, hello, and he's like, I'm down here. And guys, they pan to this shot of Christian Grey straight up being creepy in them bushes like this. Just, okay, a mess. a mess. Okay? So that's not how it goes down in the books. Now I know, you know, when you're going from a film, you know, book to film adaptation, you can't get everything in there. But if you know, Christian Grey is suave, okay? He's sexy, he's sultry, and I didn't get that performance from either one of them in that first movie. There is a reason why, guys, at the Razzies, Razzies is pretty much like the Grammys for like bad acting. They won that year for very good reason. So bad. So bad. Horrible. And Shao says Edward shops at the Victoria's Secret body lotions and perfume section. That's so true though. That was way too much glitter. Okay, even Dracula would be like, you know what, Edward, come here, come here. Okay, so I am the king of vampires, okay? And you have way too much shimmer, okay? You need to have more smoke than shimmer. You know? Well, now he's an African vampire. There we go. But I can see Dracula doing that, just like being like, Edward, what are we doing here? Like, oh my gosh. But yeah, when that movie came out, oh man, so many women lost their shit. And I was just like, why? Okay, if I'm gonna lose my shit, you know who I'm gonna lose it for? Vampire Bill. But maybe that's just my taste personally. Okay, he is a man of very few words. He just says suke, and that's it. That's all you need, ladies. Just a man of few words. Okay. No, I'm messing with y'all. But yeah, but that movie, yeah, I will watch the Twilight movies for your sake and read the books, and yeah, I'm gonna roast those books to the ground. But yeah, they're so bad. They're so bad. So bad. I mean, I can't believe those books revived the vampire like movie revolution. Like, I was just like, what are we doing? Now, I won't lie, the second movie seems to be better or whatever, but like that first movie, I couldn't. And just seeing Kristen Stewart with that constipated face, like no emotion, I'm like, what are we doing? And then they put her in the Charlie's Angels remake movie. What are we doing? It was terrible. And I love Charlie's Angels. But they ruined it for me, okay? It's a mess. Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. But alright guys, what we got coming up here? Oh, this was great. Oh, you guys really rock, man. Okay, so we have book review, hopefully, coming up. Me talking some more shit. No. That's what I do every episode. Tons of people unsubscribing. Not surprised. No. To those of you who have been subscribing and following me, whether it's on, excuse me, YouTube or Twitch, thank you. I really appreciate it. I've been having a lot of fun, you know, getting, and this is like my first time really getting back into reading something so heavily, like, heavy and juicy and all that. But yeah, I think you guys will enjoy me talking about Civil Warriors. And yeah, we got some maybe some Otome game action. Maybe I might play The Witcher. I was thinking about doing that too, since that's based off of a book series. And I'll be going hard for that Geralt, let me tell you. Geralt is bae, hashtag. But any other questions, guys, before I go here? Or are you guys out of questions? But yeah, I am not a fan of Harry Potter. I know I'm going to get a lot of shit for that. I really tried, y'all. But maybe it's just with me being older and shit, but I just couldn't relate to it. Now, I won't lie. I have a Harry Potter, like, blanket. But it was because my grandmother gave it to me, and it was warm. And I didn't care. I was like, stay warm or keep my pride. Stay warm. So a mess. And yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. Oh, that's a good question. Shals asked, when do you usually go live? I go live once a week on Sundays at 8 p.m. Central Time, because that's the only time where everybody leaves me alone. And I can actually do my show with no interruptions. Yes. Okay. So yeah, I do it once a week, but then I do pre-recorded stuff. But yeah, I wish I could do live every, the 3 days or whatever, because I try to update 2 to 3 times during the week, with what I've, been up to. I do a lot of reviews more than wrap-ups, because I'm just a person that's very inquisitive. I like to, study the author, or, read about the characters and things like that. So that's what I'm gonna be focusing on. So we got like Otomi games and just unique content, if you want to call it that. Well, it's not that unique, but I try. But yeah, you guys can stay in touch with me the following ways, and I'll put this here so you guys can see it here. Okay, so it's at Bookshade1 for both Twitter and Instagram, so you can follow me and my crazy ass throwing shade all over book Twitter, like Harry Potter sucks. No, I don't do that. Maybe I should. No, I'm not gonna do that. I do not need the equivalent of the Beehive on my ass. No. But no, thanks so much for watching, guys, the live. But yeah, I'll be on Sundays, 8 p.m. Central Time. I do it once a week, so we can all catch up and kiki and talk shit. That's like my favorite thing to do, is talk shit. No, no, we have a good time here. No, but I appreciate you guys. And yeah, you guys let me know what you think. Go back, check out, the early half of the episode where we were talking about, of course, my lady here, ABookOlive. Go check her out. She is a fierce woman. She is so fierce. I love her. I love people that keep it real, especially, in regards to BookTube. And she does not tiptoe around the issue. She lets you have it, darling. And I appreciate her for that. So thank you so much, Olive, and I was glad to do the video response. But yeah, you guys let me know what you think about the whole book haul conflict thing. Also, let me know what you prefer. Do you like ebooks, or are you on that physical book hustle, or do you do like me, a little mixture of both, where I have my ebooks and then I have my physical books for the series that I actually enjoy? And Shall's like, ha, 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 ha. Now I sound like Drake, like, ah. Okay, no, I'm not Drake, y'all. I don't have those bars. And Shall says, haha, love this. Definitely will be back for more. You are awesome. Oh, I want to thank the Academy. No, seriously, y'all. If I ever got famous, right? Blessings to God. The first thing I literally would do is maybe point out one of my celebrity crushes, and I'd be like, okay, I just want to let you know that you is fine, and that's why I'm up here, so thank you. No, my mom would be so pissed, because I gotta make sure I gotta thank God. I gotta make sure I thank my family and my parents, because if I don't do that, mama gonna be looking at me like this, like, oh no, you did not. And Jenny says that this was fun and a mix of both. Yeah, I try to incorporate different things, and just kind of, keep it spicy, as they would say. But yeah, I'll be back next week Sunday for a live episode. But sometimes, guys, you never know. I might surprise you with an impromptu one with the book discussions. Oh yeah, before I go, let's talk about that. Would you prefer my book discussions to be pre-recorded, or do you want me to do what I did today, live, and we all talk about it, or you can ask me questions about it while I'm going through it, or it depends. So let me find out what you guys think here. All right, let me take this. Okay, there we go. So should I do the book reviews half and half, or see? I'm just trying to navigate through, because I know people don't like reviews apparently, and people prefer like wrap-ups, but I'll do the wrap-ups, but as you can see, I'm very long-winded and I'm very detail-oriented like that. So yeah, but that's what I was wondering. I was like, I wanted to talk to y'all and think like, should I do like pre-recorded, like how people usually do their wrap-ups and stuff like that, and TBRs and stuff, or should I do it live so that you guys can react to it and I react to it, and or a mix of both? Jenny, is that in regards to doing reviews or something? Or I know I look a hot sweaty mess here. Oh, okay. And Jenny says either is good for me, but I like to hear what you honestly think. Okay. I'm gonna be. You know what I'm known as, guys? I am known as the brutally honest critic. It gets me in trouble sometimes. I'm too honest with my opinions on entertainment and media and stuff. So a lot of times people be getting pressed with what I say sometimes. Not all the time, but like, I know once we start talking about Star Trek and Sarah J. Maas and some of these other popular people up in here, I'm gonna get shitted on real bad. But no, it's all in good fun though. So yeah, I'm glad that you guys like the show. You know, I try to bring that energy. I may be tired as hell, but I'm gonna bring that energy and shit. You know, bring all that action. But no, you guys, like I said, keep in touch with me on that Twitter, on that Instagram. It's at Bookshade #1. And guys, I didn't pick #1 to be a douchebag. I just figured like, okay, that would work. So, because sometimes when you have #1, like people are just like, yeah, you think you all that. You think you all that. I'm just like, not really. That's just how it goes sometimes, you know. All right, guys. Well, time for me to go take off all this ridiculous makeup and go about my day. If I finish Civil Warriors, guys, I will come back on and do it live so you guys can hear my opinions on it. But if I don't, then it'll probably be Sunday. But I will probably on Tuesday, I will have, and Shao says, I think live is so much. It makes it feel so real. It gives us an opportunity to ask questions and get answers. Okay, well, yeah, I'll do that. I'll do like a mixture of stuff that's pre-recorded and then stuff that's live. But definitely, I want to do my book reviews live because now I see that you guys really like the interaction, and I'll bring it. You know me, I'll definitely bring it. I don't hold back. Like, if there's a book and it sucks, I'm like, this is why it sucks, and then I have the receipts, bitch. Like, that's just how I do it. But yeah, and guys, keep the recommendations coming because I'm filling up my TBR with stuff. Right now I'm kind of doing this mixture of I got some arcs as well as stuff that's on my bookshelf that I need to start reading. Yeah, I like being entertaining and just being real. Sometimes I know I'm very raw. I can definitely be vulgar, so I know for some people they're gonna be like clutching their pearls real hard. But that's what I'm all about. I'm all about, you know, talking about books in an uncensored way and not holding back with it. I know I'll get a lot of shit because, you know, people are very passionate about books like that. Understandable. I am too. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how my show like progresses, because I know I'm gonna get people who are like, oh my gosh, dude, like, you're such a bitch, and it's like, okay, yeah, they're gonna be clutching their pearls, or as they would say, you know, the beast has been unleashed, you know, all that good stuff. All right, guys, well, I'm gonna get out of here finally, right? But no, thanks so much for watching, guys. I love y'all the best. I'll definitely, you know, be back hopefully this week. You know, I'll do a TBR so at least you guys know what I'm reading. But I have a really I just finished actually reading another series. I just thought about it. that one I'm gonna do probably, it's gonna be a surprise, because this series, guys, I don't know why nobody's talking about it, but it is stellar. It is probably the best, like the best thing I've ever read. I mean, it's in the same level as Interview with the Vampire. Oh my gosh. But I'm gonna keep my lips sealed on that, because I got a lot of the stuff I gotta update. But all right, guys, take care. And like I always say, remember to embrace the darkness of reading. I'll see you guys probably next couple of days, maybe tomorrow. We'll see. All right, take care, guys.